Hello, my name is Chris Robinson. I will be your instructor for Math 107. I'd like to give you an idea of how the course is set up, explain some of the expectations for the course, and also show you where all the material is located on Blackboard that you'll need to be successful this semester. The tool I'm using right now to share with you this setup is called Zoom. And if you should ever want to have a virtual office hour throughout the semester, this is what we could use to do that. A lot of times students can contact me through email or even call me up on the office phone here. But if you want this particular venue, you'd need to set up Zoom on your laptop, your PC, whatever you're using to access the course. And then I can make a meeting. You can join and we can talk face to face via this tool. I would say whenever I first used Zoom myself, maybe I wasn't as tax savvy as I needed to be, but it took a little bit to get everything going. It's something we can help you with either by contacting me or the IT department. So if you are interested in Zoom, it gives you a little trouble, it's not working out as you want initially, don't give up. Contact me, the IT department, we'll get you where you need to be. I think it's likely that Zoom is something you would use in future courses if you want to talk with your other professors in this program, the RN to BSN. So keep that in mind. I'm going to switch from myself being the focal point to my screen. Let's share what's on my computer so you can see the setup for the course. I expect you can log into Blackboard. That shouldn't be anything brand new for you. I've got Blackboard set up to come into this Start Here tab. A little bit of an introduction about myself, what I've done in the past. Right now, you would be looking at the course overview video. So after that, I'd urge you to take a look at the course syllabus, the course calendar, as well as the objectives for the course. I even went a little bit further and clicked on the syllabus itself. And when you do this, you can either look at the PDF, you can take a look at all the details that are present in the syllabus, and you'll probably want to do that sometime along the way. Gives you an idea of what we need for a textbook, how to grade things, exam proctors. I'm going to take this opportunity to give the first plug for that. One of the most stressful things in the course, I believe, early on in the first week is getting a proctor to take your exams with. Unless, of course, you live close to Evansville, say within 2 hours, and you'd like to come to campus and I'll be your proctor. But I've had a lot of students in the past who live very far away, and what they need to do is to complete some paperwork through the Office of Online Learning, get that paperwork to their potential proctor, have them sign off on it, send it back here to USI. So you see this has got several steps to it. We need to get these done in the first week of class so that you're ready to take our first exam in the second week of class. I know it moves fast, but this is a 7-week course and it's just part of it. So don't delay on looking into an external proctor. And while we're at it, you might be thinking, well, who could I get for an external proctor? Librarians, counselors, principals at local schools, perhaps a director of nursing, someone who is your superior who has enough, say, level of difference so that it's not a peer, it's more of a supervisor that's looking over what you're doing. All right, so those ideas I definitely want you to look into. One of the first things to really focus in on, but regarding assessments, grading methods, all of this can be found on Blackboard using the using a VoiceThread that I've posted. So Zoom is what I'm using now. VoiceThread is another tool we use throughout the semester to for me to essentially record a mini lesson or to ask students to record discussions of how they use the math concepts we are discussing in class in their day-to-day application of nursing in their work life. So those are worth looking through. Let's see here. Let's go back just a little bit. Of course, calendar would be in there as well, and let me bring that to your attention. I have it in a couple different places. It's under the Read, Watch, Essential Items, but it's also here on the left side underneath the Start Here tab. And I like being very organized, and I want you to know when the test dates are, homework dates are, all these items, because work schedules can be tricky. And this way you know well ahead exactly everything we'll need to do, and if we need to be flexible regarding the test date. If you're working a 12-hour shift or even more, I've encountered some traveling nurses some very long hours. I really don't want you going from an extremely long shift right into a test. I'd like you at least to rest it up a little bit so you're ready to do your best. So say Module 1 exam, we got that the 16th of January. If you're working there the night before and you say, hey, can I take it on Thursday or even Friday? If you can schedule that with your proctor, I'm willing to do that. I want you to do well. I don't want you just sort of in a daze while you're taking your exam. So please keep that in mind. So let's get back to the other items as we work our way down. That's the technology tools. So we've been talking about Zoom, we talked a little bit about VoiceThread. If you should want to learn how to comment in VoiceThread, if you've never used it before, I've got tutorials set up within Blackboard here so you can access them and practice or learn. I don't want VoiceThread to be a tool that you leave this course unfamiliar with. You're going to see it in other courses here and then in this program. So we've got VoiceThread, we've got Zoom, MyMathLab. I need to get into that. So let's see here. Okay. I'm going to go down and click into just a little bit more. So MyMathLab, what's that all about? Or MyLab for health professionals. There's a couple different names are out there. As the textbooks have changed over the years, those names have shown up. Homework and quizzes for the courses will be completed using MyLab, MyMathLab, however you like to say it. So when you purchase your textbook, make sure that you're getting an access code as well for MyLab. And when you get that access code, I'll show you here in a moment, you can go and link your Blackboard account and link that into MyLab so that as we go through the course, you log into MyMathLab, click on the homework assignment within the particular unit, takes you right where your homework's at, you can complete it. I tried my best to tie this all together. But you have to have a textbook with a code that allows you to access MyLab. Some textbooks are sold without that code. Make sure you're getting a book with a code or you're going to have to go back and buy that later. It just causes more expense, more hassle. Let's try and get it all done at one time. So a textbook for the course with a code, access code for MyLab. And they have, where I'm at right now is a way to check and make sure that your computer meets the compatibility requirements for MyLab. And then there's a tutorial. I've got a registration handout. And essentially what it does, you get in here and it'll tell you exactly what you do. If you've never used this before, you're going to have to set up an account. Username, password, they're describing here what you need to do. And eventually you type in that access code for from your textbook that you purchased and you're ready to go. If that's giving you trouble though, let me know and we'll work through those issues. I've done this a few times. So let's see here. That should take care of MyLab. There's some help if you need it as well in Zoom we've already talked about. So let's see here. We've talked about syllabus, how you can get to more information about that, your technology tools. Now we're really to the point where I want to make sure you understand early on we need to have an application of VoiceThread. I want you to introduce yourself to the class. So what happens here is you can either click on this video that I've embedded into Blackboard here, or you can click on the link down below. Let's See what happens here. Oh, it's giving me some troubles about signing in. Okay, here we go. I've done that a little bit earlier. It may not look exactly the same way whenever you do it, so bear with me just a little bit. Okay, let me go back just a tad. This is probably a good learning moment here. When you log in to MyUSI, VoiceThread is actually a tab that I like to open up before I go into Blackboard, especially if I'm doing some sort of discussion. Because if you don't have VoiceThread open in the background, they want you to go ahead and open it up later, and that just always seems to be more difficult for some reason. I'd also say that Chrome seems to work a bit better with VoiceThread than Firefox. That may not always be true, but just from my experience. So let's see here. I've got that all going now, and let me try this once again. Because once VoiceThread is open, sorry, there's too much going on here. Once VoiceThread is open, you can click on the video that's embedded in Blackboard, and it'll play for you just like normal. But if you haven't opened VoiceThread, it tries to take you along a different route that I think is sometimes a little bit tougher. So back to this introduction to the class. So I talk a little bit myself, give you some history upon myself, and what I'm asking you to do is just to go down here to the bottom. Let me see this plus sign, and if you click on the microphone, it'll allow you to record an introduction of your own for myself to listen to, as well as all the other members of the class. It's kind of our way of creating a classroom environment. Now, I realize you're probably not going to listen to everyone's, but take some time to listen to a few. I try to comment on all these. Usually I comment on all of them, and I like to notice which students have similar interests. Maybe you're in a geriatric setting, maybe you're in a hospice setting, maybe you're looking to be some sort of policymaker in the future, and this degree is helping you to move down that path. So this is a way for you to network. Take advantage of that if you can. So this is your first experience with VoiceThread. Make sure you do your student introduction, hopefully within the next day or so, as soon as you get through all this introduction with the My Math Lab and all that. And please don't create a new VoiceThread. You want to post a comment on this, and it's the same way when we do our discussions as well. We'll see in a minute what I mean about that. Don't try and create something brand new. What I'd like you to do is to post your comment, introduction, right where the VoiceThread is that's been established in Blackboard. Well, that should do it. That takes care of all the things on the Start Here tab, and we can start to focus on how the learning material is organized in this course. So the modules, there's 4 that we will focus on in this course. It's how it's broken down. The basics, proportions, dosage calculations, and a bit of algebra to prepare you for essentially HP 302, some statistics. So the basics, let's look at how this is set up. In each module, I like to have an overview, describe to you the learning objectives. I'll even describe how I assess those objectives if you want to click on that PDF, Module 1 Objective Mapping. I also have the online assessments in a folder, kind of in one place with all the due dates up at the top. You can kind of check them off if you want. Unfortunately, those checks aren't permanent per student, just maybe a way to kind of think of what you've done. And then, as I spoke earlier, I have links to the homework. Say homework number 1, click on that. Once you set up your MyLab account, it'll take you right into it. You don't have to worry about logging in separately. It's just meant to really speed you along and make this easier. So we'll have our homework assignments for the module, the quiz for the module, and the discussion question. So if you want to know more about what those are, the syllabus has a good discussion of it, how it's broken down, and how it's used to assess what you've learned. Let me go back one level. So in each module, we've got an overview, we have all of our online assessments, and then we have something called essential questions. That's my way of giving you a bit of a study guide before the exams. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't do the homework that's presented. What it is some extra, usually word problems. That's fine. That's where students really need the practice. So I have first of all, a blank document with the problems. Then beyond that, I have the key to them. You can check your work. I've shown a lot myself, maybe provided some comments of what I notice students make mistakes with. And then I even have a voice thread underneath here discussing things. So lots of varied tools for you. Don't have to use them all, but use what it takes to feel comfortable with the material. And then down here at the bottom, most modules I have some supplemental resources. Khan Academy does all sorts of videos, especially for fraction, arithmetic, and decimal arithmetic. So you kind of go in there, and if you want that, you can check it out. Seems like nowadays we all have our tools we like to use for online self-helps or do-it-yourself. This is just a suggestion. If you've got another website you like to use to learn from, that's fine too. So module 1's set up in this way, and if you check out module 2, it's the same sort of setup. I do have an extra item here for conversion factors. Unit conversions show up whenever we look at the module for proportions. And dosage calculations, similar thing there, similar setup. Again, you can still find your online assessments tab with all the homework, the quizzes, the discussion questions. Module number 4, I'll say this in a few other places, it's a little bit different because there's no exam. We run out of time. With 7 weeks, I've pushed a lot of material in here. So what we do in module number 4, it's about 3 or 4 days. It's not a long module. It's one homework assignment, one quiz. I got some discussion questions as well for you to look over to help you prepare for the portion of the final that assesses these ideas. This sometimes brings students' attention to the forefront, exam keys. So it doesn't mean that I'm going to put the exam keys out before the exams. What I do is I get your exams, I grade them, I scan them, I send them back to you. And after everybody's taken their exams and I've sent them back, I like to post the original copy of the exam as well as the key to it. Because as you study for the final, those become your old study guides. Things you got right, make sure you still maintain those skills. Things that you struggled with, go back and improve them, hopefully. And I'll also include a voice thread with these. It's almost like the essential question items, discussing the common mistakes from the class. Perhaps the class had troubles with pediatric dosages. They were always rounding whatever way the number suggested, not always rounding down to avoid some sort of overdose situation. Or maybe it's something with percent strength and they didn't realize what the dry solid is. It's always grams per milliliter rather than milligrams per milliliter. My way of helping you learn from your mistakes. So as we go through the course, this will fill up and eventually become our study guide for the final. Underneath tools, we've got other things to access MyMathLab, but to be honest with you, you probably won't have to use that. You can check your grades online. I will keep those as up to date as possible. I describe in the syllabus voice thread how many business days to expect. I don't want to tell you all the details here. I want to make sure you get to those other voice threads and listen to my comments. But you'll be able to see them here. Technology support and send an email. You can use this to send me emails. And let me say a few things about email here. I realize we often use our phones to converse, and that's fine and all. But don't forget that this is somewhat of a professional setting. Sometimes I will get emails from students without any sort of mention of their name, and it's hard to sort out what their email address is because it may not be a USI address. Please, when you send an email to me, if we haven't sort of already created some sort of conversation thread, if it's the first time, please put your name in there somewhere. Let me know that's the end of that letter who it's coming from. And watch about grammar, just little things. Make sure that we take the care to really express our ideas carefully. Sometimes I think the grammar and the vocabulary we use with texting, while it's efficient and it gets ideas across quickly, it's not what we might want to use in an academic setting. So please keep that in mind. Let's see here. That takes care of all the items that we've had. Let me go ahead and start to shut some of this down. Let's stop the share of the screen. And I want to wish you the best for the course. This has hopefully been instructive. Not tried to take more time than I need. But if there are any lingering questions, email me. Let me know how I can help you. Get that exam proctor in the first week. Make sure you're getting your My Math Lab access set up. You probably know at this moment I've opened the course up early. Don't make the first week of class more stressful than it needs to be. I'm here to help you. Looking forward to a good semester. Remember, it's 7 weeks. You can make it. We're here to help you, but it'll be intense.